Hey guys, Terry here with the Forest Farm Project. Today we're going to be installing this Piranha Toothbar by BXpanded. Can't wait to get it on here. Let's get started. First off, if you're interested in purchasing one of these Piranha Toothbars, you're going to have to measure your bucket to make sure you get the proper dimensions to the company so that they can send you the proper toothbar for your bucket. We have a video linked below in the description that gives you the instructions on how to do that if you're interested. So first off, you take the toothbar and you set it up here on your bucket. Slide it up in there, make sure these tabs go up over the front edge, cutting edge of your bucket. Hopefully it's not too warped up. If you waited too long, it might be. Next, you want this bucket as far back onto the cutting edge as possible. So if you take a couple of C-clamps, this one has got a really sharp curve, and I tried to put it on here earlier. It won't go on far enough that way, but it will go on upside down, so you may want to try that out. When you put this on here, you want to pull that blade up to the bottom of this bucket firmly. Get it snug first. Basically, you want to pull the toothbar up to the cutting edge of the bucket. I'm not going to go too tight yet. I want it snug. Now, I'm going to get my sledgehammer, and you can get a block of wood. It could be a 2x4, 2x6, whatever, and you want to drive this thing on as far as it'll go. And slide it back. That's going to help hold it in place. Now that I've got that side back, I might snug it up just a little more. Hold it in place. If you just try and drive this toothbar onto the bucket without the C-clamps, holding it firmly, you drive this side, it's liable to teeter out over there. You go over there and drive that side, it's going to teeter out the other way. It's just going to teeter-totter back and forth. So if you snug this up, that helps hold that side in place, so when I drive this side, that won't pop out. Hopefully. In theory. And that moved a lot. I'm going to tighten that one up. It's in there. And I'm going to double check this other end one more time. And it did move just a little bit. That should hold it. Now we need to mark this elongated hole where it meets your bucket. First I want to mention, if you'll see this gap, that is in the design. It's on purpose. They want that gap there. This is a malleable steel which will flex to the side easily. It won't bend this way, but it'll flex that way. It's the way they've got it designed. And of course it's going to bend if you overload it, but you want that to be able to pull to the sides of that bucket. We want to mark this hole right where it's located. Okay, we're going to mark this hole. And that's pretty much it. Now, we've got to remove this toothbar again. I wouldn't touch that thing without gloves. This is a cutting edge and it will cut. It's very sharp, especially these corners. The older I get, the softer I get, I guess. I didn't used to wear gloves at all and I had hands like alligator skin. I'm gonna set it out of my way. First, I want to note that they recommend having the bucket tilted up as though you have a load and be about 10 inches off the ground at the low point of the bucket. You never want to get under that bucket if it's off the ground. It's not a wise move to ever have it off the ground working on it, but there are times it's just more convenient. It'd be really hard to do this on the ground. Could set it on a couple of 4x4 or 6x6 blocks under there. That would help tremendously. They want you to place, there's two little stickers that come with the instructions, and it's got a crosshair in it, and that is where you drill your hole. They want you to place it 1/8 of an inch from the back of that circle. The reason being, as this edge wears, that toothbar, if you take the toothbar off and use this bucket for other purposes besides the purpose you would use it when you had the toothbar on, this edge can wear, and if you know tractor buckets, they do wear down. So as that wears down, it's going to move into the bucket further and further. Well, if you drilled the hole way out here and put this big bolt through way out here, that toothbar is not going any further forward. So as this bucket wears, the tooth bar is going to lose contact with the edge of the bucket and it's going to get floppy. You don't want that. You want it to be able to keep moving its way back as this bucket wears over the years. A lot of people get confused on where to place this drill guide. They say 1/8 of an inch back from the end. Well, some people think that crosshair should be 1/8 of an inch back from the end, but that's not the case. They want this entire circle 1/8 of an inch from the end. So I'm going to mark it, the end, 1/8 of an inch back from that end, which is not much at all, but it's like right in there. I'm just going to darken that end. So now after you've marked 1/8 of an inch back, peel your sticker loose. You want to center this on that slot, but this back edge towards the tractor should be right there at the edge of that 1/8 inch mark. Stick it on there. There's one. Come back 1/8 of an inch. Honestly, I mean, you make your black marker mark, you're about 1/8 of an inch. So let's place this sticker in its location at that edge of that 1/8 of an inch and roughly center that slot. Now we need to, I don't have a center punch. This is a nail set, but it's close to a center punch. It's a really tiny one, so let's see what happens here. Next, they want you to drill a pilot hole, a small bit, they said. I've got a 9/64, mainly because that looks like the sharpest, smaller bit I have in my box there. I want to make sure it does a good job. Hopefully that nail set gets me in there. There's one. Next, we need to get our variable bit. This is a 3/4 variable bit. Ultimately, that's the hole they want you to get. They say if you don't have a 3/4 bit, then you want to grab a set of drill bits and step it up in sizes and follow that pilot hole, because you don't want to get off center. So go a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger until you get to 3/4. Variable bit's great. They recommend, if you don't have a variable bit, their option is use a hole saw. So you need a 3/4 hole saw. We've got the variable bit, we're going to use it. And this wonderful, wonderful Milwaukee tool. Love it. Now that we've got our pilot hole, we know where we need to drill from the outside. So we're going to move out there. We have more room to move around. So now we're going to repeat that process on the other side. Put the tooth bar back on the bucket. Be careful so you don't pinch your little digits. Lock washer, nut, 2 big washers. So we're going to put a big washer on the outside. So if you'll notice, there's a lot of play between the bolt and the size of that hole. They did that on purpose. That way, if you were off a little bit, you should be okay. Okay, I tried to get that nut and lock washer on there a while ago and they didn't want to go. My bolt was pointing uphill a little bit. I failed to put this clamp in and pull this side up, which I needed to do. And now it's going together. So I still had it, the bucket was probably warped a little bit because we've been using this about a year now. Okay, so I used a C-clamp to pull this back up tight. I also used a C-clamp to help flex that tab over, which is by design, they want that to happen. Now we're going to screw this thing down. It's a 15/16 socket. I didn't bring my wrenches, so luckily I've got this crescent wrench. That should get us down there and get it done. Snug it up a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to get that tight. I'm just going to get it on there. Let's go to the other end and do the same thing. I'm going to pull this side up snug. Knock it back a little bit just to make sure it's back there. Bolt head and washer on the outside. not going to be close enough, again, we'll compress this a little bit so that we can get everything put together like it needs to be. It's really pretty simple. It doesn't take much effort. Get a little bit of time. Get that booger started. Get my wrenches in place. Wrench and ratchet. I'm going to knock it back a little bit first. Again, make sure everything's in position where it should be. Yeah, it moved a lot right there. I can actually take this back off of here. And pull this back up so it's good and snug like it should be. At least have everything in place when you're initially getting the bolts tightened up. It's going to probably sag a little bit just because, again, this bucket edge is not perfect. It's done a lot of work out here. So pull that up snug. Now, knock it back one more time. You want that thing seated on that bucket as far as you can get it, because you don't want it moving around. You want these things to grab the cutting edge. Now we're going to tighten that thing down. Whoops. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and use a breaker bar if I can hang on to it. Give a lot more leverage. Make sure it's good and tight. Be very careful that you don't slip and catch this with your hand, because you're going to bleed like that. It's not good. Okay. Get tight. I'd tighten this up, run it a while, and then I'd come back and check these nuts from time to time, make sure they haven't loosened up. I think we're on there. That's it. We're ready to turn some dirt over. Well, I hope some of you find this useful when installing your Piranha Toothbar. It really went on pretty easy, just a couple hand tools and boom, it's on there. This thing is solid as a rock. I cannot wait to move some dirt with this thing. We're going to do a comparison video showing digging with the Piranha Toothbar, and then we'll remove it and dig just with the bucket. I got a feeling that Toothbar is probably going to win the competition. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time.